to do a session, and hopefully I will not be very long because I don't intend to be very new. I understand that we are all working people and there are limitations. But quickly, I will be introducing us tonight to the topic of commonalities of depression. Commonalities of depression. And if you were listening a while ago, we were at the other we were listening to the music, and that was specifically done to revive our spirits. And in fact, I really enjoyed listening because it was so lively and vibrant. And it tells us that in everything, in every era of life, sometimes we have to find a praise. But irrespective of our situation, we just have to find a way of doing what we're doing in our civility. So let me get ahead with it. Commonalities of depression. What really is depression? Depression is relatively a natural condition experienced by everyone at some time throughout life or whole life. There are different levels of depression, whether they be calm, mild, major, etc. And it can lead to mental health issues if not controlled. Since everyone is different, depression is not standardized. And because every situation, it's caused by varying situations and at different times. Therefore, there are various levels and various types of depression. There are 6 main ones, which I'm not really going to go in all of them, but I just focus on 4 of these areas. And the 4 areas of this depression I'm going to look at tonight is major depressive disorder. I repeat that, major depressive disorder. Next one is dysthymia, and the next one is psychotic depression and postpartum depression. Mark said that there are other types of depression, but I just limit the session tonight to these 4 areas of the depression because they are relatively common to most of us and even women in general. So I'll just focus on them. Depression continues. Depression can be classified as conditions that stem from real life or fantasy. So the real life situation that causes us to be stressed, or we fantasize something and we are stressed by it, we are all affected in one way or another. And the situation and the experience that we go through, it comes basically as a result of our senses, because we have 5 senses: hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling, touching, and all of these things. So when we hear something, it might be pleasant or unpleasant, and it causes us to become depressed or sometimes angry, stressed, anxious, and so on. And these are dynamic forces which allows us to function. Because of our senses, we are able to function. We can see, we can hear, we can taste, we can smell, we can touch. We have feelings. So all of these things are relative to real life situation, not fantasy here, but they are real life situation, and they cause us to function because we don't have eyes to see and ears to hear and nose to smell. Then we can't function rationally. We will just have to depend on what persons tell us. But when we have these senses actively, then we can go on naturally and as natural human being and rational in the fear of life. Depression is sometimes triggered because of anxiety. And I'm not going to talk and focus on anxiety, but I'm going to tell us the source really that sometimes trigger the depression. So if we are anxious about something and we don't know what cause it, we may become depressed. Sometimes we're going along the road and something just hits our mind, and we don't know how to deal with the thought that come to us, and it become we start to worry, we start to become anxious, and after a period of time we may trip up into depression if it continues over extended period of time. We become anxious, upset, angry, worried, and from we start getting worried, this is where depression takes action. Because if we're just anxious, we're not necessarily depressed. No, we're just anxious. We become upset because of something somebody did to us, we're not really depressed. We become hungry and bitter, but we're not really depressed. But the depression sets in when we start to worry about the things that affects us, and we start to concentrate on them over extended period of time. Then we begin going into a mood of depression, and this is where our body starts to break down. Because when depression sets in and we can't function rationally, then we start to behave irrational. We start doing things that we should not do or that we would normally want to do because we are depressed. Sometimes we go in our private spaces and we might take the bed for it because we are depressed. We might find a secret corner and we stay there because we can't deal with the feelings that is bothering us. We are depressed, and sometimes we don't even know what is bothering us while we are depressed, but we know it's something unusual, and therefore we become upset and depressed. It says depending on the length of time we remain in the state of depression, as well as the type of that it takes on, then we become disturbed and we start to malfunction. If we realize that these things start happening to us, we start malfunction and so on, it's time for us to pay attention to our thoughts. It's time for our desires. So if we want something and it is unattainable or unachievable, and we feel that we are going overboard to acquire it, and we start to become depressed. Mark, if we're not depressed, then it means it's natural. We have our desires, yeah, but this is affecting us. But from depression sets in, and we start to go overboard, it means it's time for us to take stock of what we are going through and realize that so we are going to danger zone because what depression is not nice. And depression is what's going to break us, or in fact fully break us. Because if we go too long and we can't control ourselves, then we are going to go into mental instability, mental frame of mind. And like I said some time ago, many persons we see on the road walking up and down, many of them are not mad. No, they are just drop out in society. They become depressed. They didn't have anybody to really help them along with their issues. They start walking the street, and as a result, they become, drop out. But they're not really mad. They just can't deal with their situation, and they go overtake them, then or overrun them, and they begin to behave in that frame of mind and that state. Now, I look quickly at major depressive disorder. This is the first one I'm going to talk about. And the major depressive disorder, called MDD, the symptoms include low mood and disinterest in normal activities, weariness, distress, fluctuating thoughts, and feelings sometimes happy, sometimes sad. And this level of depression can be mild, moderate, or severe. It's not dead if not dealt with properly. It can affect one's daily lifestyle, your work, and your relationship. So that's the major depressive disorder. And like the topic says, commonality. Because if you listen to the various symptoms here, they are depressive symptoms that are found in other areas of depression. Because when we are going up in a depressive state, we normally start feeling low. And we say, no, I'm not in the mood. And what is mood? It's a frame of mind. You're not in the right mood. You're feeling down. You're feeling aggressive. You're feeling bitter. You're feeling sad, or you may feel happy. Depending on what happens to you. You may feel weary. You may feel distressed. You may feel hungry, and the hunger that comes in there, you can't deal with hunger, so you go off in a different mood and different mind frame. You're thirsty, likewise, and it brings on a depressive feeling because you got no food to eat, no thing to drink, and you go off in the body starts to run down, the body feels faintish, and you cannot function, so you go up into a state of depression. And like I said, if you don't attend to the needs that cause the depression, it will continue to other areas of depression. Okay, the fact that a person feels depressed does not necessarily mean that the person has a mood disorder. So not because the person feels low or down, as you say, mean that the person has a mood order. No, a mood order is a more serious type than just mere feeling low or feeling sad. And it says, oh, because everyone feels sad at one time or another. And we all feel depressed, like I said, at times. This is normal. So if you feel sad, and if you feel depressed, and if you feel drained, those are normal feelings. But what is sad, if it continues, and if you don't deal with what causes us to feel sad, or what causes us to feel drained, or if, for example, if you work and you're tired or you over-exercise, for example, and you didn't come and drink some water to, reignite the soul, you didn't drink no water, so your body gets dry, and therefore you're down. So if you did not tend to that need of thirst, it's going to continue. When the real problem is you are dehydrated. But if you know that this problem is dehydration and you drink the water, then you'll find your mood start to improve. And whatever else, like I said, it's causing the problem, it will gradually improve if you deal with the situation that caused the depression. When a person is suffering from mere depression, it means that the person may just be worried. And sometimes lack of desire or motivation to do or enjoy the things one usually do brings on added stress. And life is full of stress. Life is full of stress. Anything we do today, there is some amount of stress into it. So if we look at what we go through, measure them, evaluate them, and see that what we're doing is bringing on added stress on us, it means we are to take a pull. It means we are to take a break. And it means that we are to really, get in touch with what we really want to get in touch with. Okay, inactivity and dysphoric anxiety are also depression and may further account for other areas of depression leading to danger or unfulfilled lives. I look quickly at this dysthymia. And dysthymia is really a simple, in other words, dysthymia is regarding to all of what I said earlier. It is a persistent depressive disorder. And it is, depressive disorder. It is a mental and behavioral disorder also, specifically relating to mood. So this one here is specifically related to your mood. So if you have mood swings or mood hangover or whatever, this is what this dysthymia is all about. And if you don't really deal with your mood and what causing to in this disturbed mood, then it will continue to, progress. Okay. It also continues over a longer period of time than usual and than the other normal depression. Another area of depression is postpartum. And postpartum depression is, for example, a mother. Men don't really have children. Men don't really give birth. So they wouldn't really have much to do with this with postpartum. But females are the ones who postpartum really affect. So therefore, the postpartum depression relates to mother. And this kind is usually associated with childbirth. So if a mother has her child, immediately or shortly after she has and give birth, then she usually go off to a period of depression. And I pause here for a second, and I'm going to say to you, in the event that the system, there's a disruption of the system, we'll pause for a few seconds, and then the system will restart. So I'm just saying to you, if there's a disruption in my session here, we'll pause for a few seconds until we have to restart the session. So I'm just continuing. So I was saying, when the mother gives birth, she usually go off into a period of depression. Sometimes it depends on how well nourished she is, or how to deal with our situation. It may not be very long. And since it's a natural, this one is not really abnormal. It's natural that when a mother gives birth, she usually go into called baby blues. So she normally go into a period of baby blues for a few days where she just start getting sad, she start crying. Sometimes she don't even know why she breaks in tears, right? Then she might start smiling again, and after a while she start crying again. Because what? It's a period of postpartum depression. And like I said, it happens to mothers. So most times after they give birth, the children. And it says that mothers are usually in a state of anxiety. Yeah, because before giving birth, the mother usually is in a state of distress and anxiety. Because even if she has an idea when the child is going to be born, she usually is a bit anxious. And when the child really is born, then the relaxation comes in, so the relaxation sets in, and then depression also comes in. So it is natural, nothing abnormal. It's just that sometimes persons are not aware, and they sometimes overreact. And when they overreact, then it develops into sometimes other, maybe not even known symptoms. Sometimes people, just say whatever it is, the situation. But just to inform us, sometimes what is natural and what is not natural. So then, postpartum depression here is a natural state of development. The next one I'm going to quickly is psychotic depression. So I've dealt with the major depressive disorder, and I've dealt with the dysthymia, and I've spoken about part of it on postpartum. I'm talking quickly about the psychotic depression. Now here, psychotic depression. Sometimes people go off in the psychosis, they call it, right? And this occurs when someone is extremely depressed. So everybody won't be psychotic or experience psychotic depression. No, it's just if you are extremely depressed, you have been in the state for a very long time, and you did not try to get over it. You didn't get, help. Nobody tried to talk with you and, try to show you the way forward. And you didn't, for example, know how to deal with it. For example, getting exercise, doing physical activities to get over your mood problem. You didn't know or didn't do these things. Then you go off over a longer period of time and you become psychotic. And then depression continues for a longer period of time, which is extremely depression or depressed state. Okay, and the persons usually start thinking and acting irrational. So if you are in a psychotic depressed state, you start to behave irrational. You start to do things you would normally do. You're not really crazy, but sometimes people say you're behaving like you're crazy. And you know you're not crazy, but that is their perception, which most times are wrong. And they come up with that, we call it solution because they don't know what you're going through. So, you're usually confused, anxious at times, easily agitated and upset. So if you're working overtime for long hours without taking any break, naturally you're going to become stressed. Naturally you're going to become overburdened. Naturally you're going to become agitated. You're going to become upset. And these are natural. But when you start to become paranoid and so on, and the thoughts start to overrun your activity, then it's not normal behavior. So you have to take stock there and start to pay attention to yourself and your thoughts. There are thoughts and speech. And it said the person's thoughts and speech are usually disorganized when they are suffering from psychotic depression. They have difficulty concentrating. They experience sleeping problems. They are sometimes withdrawn. They are experiencing sometimes even suicidal thoughts because they reach a point where they cannot feel with what is causing them to behave the way they do, and they go off to irrational behavior. When these things are evident, it's revealing that these individuals, whoever experience this situation, needs help and attention, not ridicule or neglect. So if we know a person or we see persons behaving in irrational way, it's not for us to neglect the person or ridicule the person and curse the person and say, well, you're this. No, it's time to say something is wrong. The person is not normally behaving this way. And if you can talk to the person in a calm manner and the person will listen to you, then the person themselves will calm and realize that they were not acting their real self and come to start being rational. Okay, the important thing here also to do is to try and to get the cause of the person's depressive tendency. Then take things from there. So if you have an idea what caused the person, for example, they were too hard or the exercise too hard, or they were doing too much things in one period of time and they become overstressed, you can talk to them and they will realize and they calm down and they'll be able to deal with their situation better. A person's problem or desire may seem to us as simple, while to them it's a mountain. So sometimes we look at persons going through different things in life, and to us we laugh at them. We say, "Cha, it's nothing," because everybody is common and everybody goes through it. But to the persons who are experiencing the situation, it's not common, it's a mountain. And a mountain is not something you easily run over. You can run up a mountain like or you run easy. Sometimes it's easy to run down a valley. Yeah, sometimes it's easy to run down the descent than to climb the mountain. I've never been to Blue Mountain yet. But I can tell you to climb Blue Mountain, it will be a stressful thing. Whereas if you're going down a little slope, you may easily run down there. But coming up back will be the problem. Because you run down the valley or the valley. But sometimes when you reach down there to come up back, you want someone to help you out of it, which is the reality. Now when you're down there for a long time and you can't get the help to come back out, that's when the depression is going to overtake you and not translate. So we should know how we deal with our situation. If we are going to deal with it like a mountain top situation or a down the valley situation, we will know gradually how to deal with it, depending on the nature and the degree of our problem. And I pause here for a second.